Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global Wellness for All podcast. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I have the great pleasure of being your host every single week, bringing in conversations, tools, resources to bringing more wellness and well-being in all aspects of our lives, whether it's relationships, it's finances, business, our bodies and mental health, whether it's having more communion with our magical earth or bringing more awareness and consciousness in everything that we're choosing. So thank you so much for being here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global Wellness for All podcast. My name is Laleh Hancock, and today I have the great pleasure of having a conversation with you guys by myself. I've been asking people to share feedback about the podcast and also topics they want to hear about. And one that they keep mentioning is becoming the leader of their lives. And so many of them are either individuals that are in a relationship, either they're married or have a situation with others. And it really sparked a lot of different things. As many of you guys know, I have a program called Leaders of Tomorrow. And the first day of that program is actually dedicated to becoming the leader of your life. And one area that people were really curious about is becoming the source. So often we've learned from such a young age that we have to rely on others. I was born in Iran, and there's a lot of things that come with the country that you were born in, where the customs, the culture, and the way that they function. My country was one that, if you look at the past and most places around the world, marriage was never about two people coming together for love or creating something together from that place. It really was about the protection of the wealth of the family. How could the families increase their financial wealth, be able to expand what they have, whether it was land or it was, cows or cattle or whatever that was. It was about keeping the money and the wealth in the family as much as possible. And although that might have been a similar culture to what my parents had to do, they actually chose each other for other reasons. And I grew up pretty liberal, I would say, in many ways. I had a very strict father, but I got to grow up in France and in America and get to see that there's a lot more choices available for people. And with it as this conversation of source, it's usually that the family is the source. Or when you get married, it's your spouse that is the source. The funny thing about all of this is that I never even realized any of my upbringing, any of those points of views or cultural beliefs were anywhere in my universe. However, look at your life. Who or what is the first thing you think about when you're about to make a choice? A choice to start a business, a choice to go to work, a choice to purchase something. Who or what is the first thing that you think about? Is it you? And most people would not say that. Now, we've learned that if you make it about you, you're selfish, you're thinking about yourself before others. But if we look at this incredible world that we live in, we have a very abundant universe. It's about gifting and receiving. And it is the kingdom of we, the oneness. We're not one because we're all individuals. However, we are all the drops in the ocean and the ocean. So when we choose for ourselves, it's not meant from fight, resistance, reactions. but it's actually meant to come from when you're willing to include you, you also include others. This whole conversation about source is a really fascinating one, and it's going to take a lot more than a podcast. So maybe it'll turn into a program or a class or something in the future. But the things that I wanted to kind of bring to people's awareness is starting to ask questions. You know, when I was married, I've been married twice and divorced twice, and both of them are incredible men. We're still in communication. We still do a lot of different things that we can connect conversations on. You know, we adore my children. Like it's not from that place. But when I look at being a wife, it was always within me, not a job, within me to empower him, to have him, you know, be that source, to be that head of the family, which is kind of ironic. Even if you look at the American tax system, how you file is who's the head of the family. So a lot of times we don't realize these hidden things are from the words or the definitions we've put on these words, because really words mean nothing until there's a definition involved. Otherwise, it's just pure energy and you could say anything. However, each word does have a lot of energy and depends on the energy that's underneath it. So who is the head of your household? Even if you're single and you're listening to this, because it's not just about marriage, it's not about all that. These are things that we learn from a very young age. How often were girls told, hey, play with the Barbies? You know, play with you being the mom and having the babies. I recall when I was 7 years old, we were in France and my mom so desperately wanted to buy us dolls. And I wanted nothing to do with dolls. I wanted teddy bears. I like things that were cuddly. I didn't want something that was plastic and frozen. It wasn't moving much. So what if the theories of what our jobs and responsibilities aren't really what's required? Like we're in 2023, but there's still so many of those moments that are the foundations of how we function. And the more you ask questions to figure out what that is for you, the more you'll realize what your points of views are. And there is no right, wrong. It's just exploring that for you. And is it still working for you? The other thing comes with the source is that we're each infinite beings. No one's greater. Doesn't matter the job they have, doesn't matter what they've accomplished in life. What makes us different is we've all had different experiences beyond this lifetime. So when you look at somebody and you make them be, you know, significant, what you make significant is actually what you give your power to, what gets to control you, and you can't create beyond them. And this is something that I've learned through practice, how often we've made our spouse be the significant one, no matter what the situation is, whether you're working or you're a stay-at-home mom, or, you know, I always thought they're some of the most brilliant in business, actually, even though they don't realize it, because they have to juggle the kids, the husband, the cooking, the cleaning, the organizing, the looking at the finances. Like most stay-at-home now, I would say individuals, whether they're male or female, it's just incredible what they create on a daily basis. But when you start to look at the source conversation, when you don't make you the source, it's that you have to ask and receive through others. It's not wrong. But when you become the source, you also get to be that inspiration. You get to be that leader. You get to create what you desire to create. And there is no exclusion. Being the source, we get to invite everything and everyone with no point of view. So even if you're looking to, we had the original conversation of becoming that leader of your life and living, it doesn't mean you exclude, just like a leader in an organization. When the minute they start making it just about them and excluding everyone else, what happens? Things don't grow, things don't move forward. If anything, you lose people. But when you're willing to be the source, it means you're willing to come up with ideas. You're willing to look at things. Are they working? Could they be greater? If they're not working, what could you change? And what could you create that actually out creates what was there? And when we are that source and we're willing to be that oneness, we include people, we include the building, we include the earth, we include, the sun and the moon and everything else in bringing that oneness. So no matter what that might be for you, what would your life be like? Maybe today, but also in 5 years, in 10 years, if you would be willing to be the source. And the source doesn't mean that all the money comes from you, because I think there's a lot of misconceived ideas about that. But it's that moment of you're saying, I'm not making anything or anyone else greater than me. And also, you allow you to receive information and awareness without having it funneled through others. You also allow money and the generation of money, the creation of money, the instituting of money to actually show up based on your requests. One of the things in our magical universe is ask and you shall receive. Now, it was in the Bible, so a lot of people assume if it's in there, it is true or not true, but it's actually beyond the Bible. It's one of the many gifts of our gifting and receiving universe. And the minute we're willing to ask, but not just ask from desperation, because then you will attract exactly that. When you're at that frequency of desperation, you can only create that energy to match it, that congruency of that. But when you relax and when you're willing to actually take a step in nature or take a sip of your favorite coffee, that moment that you're no longer doing it from a needy perspective, but your ask comes from curiosity, play. What would it be like if I fill in the blank? And by that ask, you're already trickling it out into the universe. And if you're willing, then that's that pull of come, come, come. So inviting it to come into your life. And when we're congruent with that ask, we shall receive. But it also means you have to be willing to explore things different. You have to be willing to let go the things that are those roadblocks and those walls that keep you from that receiving of that ask. But it also includes the willingness to add anyone or anything as well. Because when we're still doing everything as usual as yesterday, what can show up different than what showed up yesterday? So who or what could you add to your life and living today that contributes to actualizing whatever it is that you're desiring to actualize? So hope this was a contribution. The whole conversation of being a source has its own many, many hours of days and months that we could have these conversations and activities. But really, even starting, who is the source of my life and living? Is it me? Is it someone else? Is it something else? Because remember, what you make significant and greater than you is what gets to limit your life and control you and become that glass ceiling that we talk about. So what if today could be the start of a brand new day? Would you be willing to let go Just destroy it, uncreate anywhere you're using your creative energy to make anyone or anything greater than you. And now, would you be willing to choose to be that, to be the source? And what could you create from here? Because it's our starting point can be any 10 seconds. Doesn't matter how many years you've been doing something or limiting yourself with, each choice can be made every 10 seconds. And that is what will create your tomorrow. So I'm wondering how much fun you guys can have exploring this topic and seeing what it might be for you. And I do invite you guys to explore Leaders of Tomorrow. We actually have some programs coming up. We have a Leaders of the Future that will be coming up. Kick starts in June 10th. We have a Leaders of Tomorrow intro that kicks in July. And we also have a 3-day Leaders of Tomorrow that will be coming up later this year. And I'm wondering, what contribution can it be to be the leader of your life and living? Until next time, see you guys soon. Thank you so much for being here, whether you were listening or watching live or on a replay. We are so grateful for you. We want to hear from you. What would you like to hear about? What are topics that get you excited and you would like to know more about? You can message us on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or even sending us a message at globalwellnessforall.com/contact. And also, would you be willing to assist us? Would you be willing to contribute spreading these seeds of wellness and well-being to others? And as always, we are so happy you're here and what is truly possible with our amazing planet the minute we're willing to have more wellness and well-being. See you next time.